Have you been studying psychology but you're not sure exactly where to take it after you graduate? Is getting a psychology degree as useless as everyone's been telling you? Hi, I'm Johnny. Welcome to my channel. I am a career coach, former recruiter, and I got my degree in psychology and human behavior at UC Davis. In today's video, we're going to be talking about career paths for psychology majors. What you'll notice is that I'm not going to dive into crazy detail about each job or the average salary associated with it. My main focus here is to simply provide you the information about what career paths are available for psychology majors so that you can use your best judgment and think about which jobs or career path might be right or wrong for you. In general, I'll focus on career paths that have an optimistic employment outlook as well as some lesser known options. Again, make sure to stay tuned until the very end of the video as I will be providing some practical advice that I wish I had when I was in college. Before we get started, make sure to hit that subscribe button and notification bell for more content just like this. I mainly create career development videos, however, I learn new things every single day and I'll be sharing all of that with you here on this channel. Alright, so I do have some notes with me. We're going to start off with the most traditional career paths for psychology majors. And by traditional, I mean what do we most commonly think of as viable career options if we're studying psychology? And these are the ones I'm going to be talking about first. Starting off, we have clinical psychologists. Here you'll assess, diagnose, and treat clients living with more serious psychological disorders. And often you can find yourself in a clinical or hospital setting, and if you'd like, you can also open your own private practice. Up next, social worker. As a mental health professional, you'll help people with a variety of issues from psychological, financial, substance abuse, and more. So to my understanding, it'll vary depending on the case that you're assigned to. Social workers can be employed in hospitals and clinics, but also in nonprofits, government agencies, and schools. Then we have an industrial organizational psychologist. These professionals leverage their strong knowledge of research and psychology to assess workplace behavior. And their primary goal is to use their expertise to increase work productivity, employee satisfaction, and assess talent. In this field, you can be a consultant and go from project to project, or you can work within a company. Up next, we have a psychiatrist. And psychiatrists are medical doctors specializing in treating mental disorders. Now, this is not to be confused with a psychologist. Psychiatrists have gone to medical school, they're medical professionals, and they can prescribe medication. Psychologists, on the other hand, cannot prescribe medication. They have pursued a master's or a doctorate program, but they cannot prescribe medication, like I said, with the exception of a couple US states, which include Iowa, Idaho, New Mexico, and a couple others. Now, in college, when I was studying psychology and I told my friends and family about this, these were the career paths that they most commonly thought of. Let me know in the comments down below if that's also the same experience that you've had. Okay, we're gonna move on to some less common paths. We'll first start off with engineering psychologists. Engineering psychologists help design and improve things like technology, consumer products, and work or living environments using their knowledge of psychology. For example, they may work on improving medical equipment so that it can be used more efficiently. And this could also apply to things like military equipment, improving vehicles, and a lot of other things. Next, we have our consumer psychologists. Now, for retailers who are serious about attracting new customers, understanding why certain people buy specific products or services, they may enlist the help of consumer psychologists. These psychologists help retailers understand that consumer behavior, and they'll analyze how culture or media also affects buying behavior. Next, we have forensic psychologists and criminal psychologists. Thanks to all the criminal investigation shows, this field has exploded in popularity. And these professionals use their knowledge of psychology and apply them to the field of criminal investigation and law. Forensic psychologists are typically involved with things like child custody evaluations, threat assessment for schools, and screening law enforcement applicants, just to name a few. On the other hand, criminal psychologists perform tasks such as creating profiles of criminals and assisting law enforcement with apprehending criminals and assessing further public risk. Now, forensic psychologists and criminal psychologists are technically two different fields, but I group them together because they're very similar. There's a lot of overlap. Now, the main difference here is that forensic professionals deal with the aftermath of the crime, whereas criminal psychologists deal with preventing further crime, such as figuring out motive. Next, we have health and sports psychologists. Now, I group these two professions together as well. Health psychologists use psychology to help people with preventative health, things like promoting healthy behaviors. For example, they help people lose weight, reduce stress, stop smoking, just to name a few. While sports psychologists study how psychological aspects like motivation and habits influence athletic performance and then apply them. So far, if you've noticed, every single career path that I've listed requires additional schooling beyond your bachelor's, whether that's pursuing a master's or a doctorate program or going off to medical school. Here are some career options for you if you decide that you want to start your career after getting your bachelor's. These are not specifically in the field of psychology, so you won't be recognized as a psychologist. However, you can still benefit from the knowledge and skills you build with your bachelor's psychology degree. So with your psychology degree, here are some of the career paths for you. Advertising agent, college admissions officer, recruiter, you can become a recruiter like I did, a customer service or human resources professional, you can go into marketing, law enforcement as a police officer, you can become a copywriter or a journalist, as well as an educator. Now, this list can continue going on and on and on. In fact, because I was not able to do everything in this video, I'll link all the links down below that I used for creating this video. Now, time for some career advice. There is no definitive career path for psychology majors. Psychology is the study of the human mind and its complex functions. And when you think about the world, everything revolves around people and how we interact with others and the things around us. And so where there are people, psychology can be beneficial so long as it's applied correctly. Too often, we see articles that list the best jobs that you can get with your psychology degree and lists the average salary with it. Or we watch a video and it ranks science degrees by tiers. And I'm not fond of these videos because it feeds into this ridiculous notion that somehow you're funneled into a specific career path just because of what you chose to study. Psychology is one of those degrees that's connected to a host of other fields. Now, there's no inherent built-in structure like you would in a computer science degree or an engineering degree. So no, while psychology is not a useless degree, it can certainly be hard to navigate, especially if you're someone who needs inherent structure built in. But I think that's the most powerful thing about psychology as well. Because there's no definitive career path, if you're proactive and you combine it with other interests that you have and you're intentional, it could be a really fun topic to study. It could be a very beneficial knowledge base to have heading into whatever you want to do. So the second piece of career advice I want to give to you is that you truly do have control over what your career path looks like. So for example, if you want to become a clinical psychologist, then you'll need to get a master's degree. And if you want to become a psychiatrist, great, you'll be going to medical school. And if you want to jump right into the workforce after graduation, that's great too. And that's exactly what I did. Now, you're not going to become a psychologist, but you can still use your knowledge of psychology and apply it to a variety of other fields that can be just as fulfilling. So as an example, let's just say that you want to get a job in marketing, but your first love is in psychology. My advice to you would be to study psychology. If that's what you love in general, that's what you'll do better in. And you can always supplement that education with, let's say, a minor in marketing, or you can get marketing experience through part-time job, internship, and you can shadow marketing professionals. For me personally, one of the biggest realizations I had after college was that your career really is like a blank canvas. Your career is a product of your own creation. You can create all sorts of different career paths. It's a lot of hard work, but my message is that you can take total control over it, and you don't have to let your degree or anyone else dictate that path for you. And with all of that said, the third piece of career advice that I want to give to you is that it's not about your degree, it's about you. Now, when I work with college students, there's often a tremendous amount of pressure to get the right degree and find the right job after graduation. This includes myself as a young professional. When I started off, we have this fallacy that finding the right degree implies job suitability or what your career path is going to look like for the remainder of your life. that's not true at all. It's so far from the truth. You're not fixed into any one position because of a decision you made when you were 20 years old. That's like saying you need a better pen to write a higher quality essay, or you need more expensive gym equipment for bigger biceps. Sure, those things may help, but don't forget that you are the key ingredient. It's your approach, it's your habits, it's your consistency in developing the skills that really is going to propel you to success. So while your degree is important, it's not the end all be all, and you certainly don't have to figure it all out, whether it's your career or your life or your relationships or anything else by the time you graduate. So long as you're consistently proactive, you pay attention to the type of work that you're doing that intrigues you, and you take notice of the things that you're learning that really energizes you, eventually that career path will kind of become visible. You'll eventually figure that out. On the other hand, just because you have it figured out by the time you graduate, you'll continue to grow as a person. Your interests now may look completely differently in 5, 10 years, 20 years. So things may change, and you may find that a different career path is even more fulfilling. Some of the clients that I've worked with have also made complete career changes after realizing that what they've been doing for several years is not actually what they wanted. So it's more common than you think. Additionally, knowledge doesn't automatically translate into valuable skills. So focus on building those relevant work experience. Get a part-time job, get internships. Build relationships with your professor, your peers, people who care about the same interests that you do. That is arguably more important. Well, it's not even arguably, it is more important than your degree alone. So remember, it's not just about the degree, it's also about you. All right, if you like this video, make sure to subscribe to my newsletter, hit the subscribe button and notification bell so you get notified exactly when I release new content just like this. Also, be sure to give this video a thumbs up, comment down below, and let me know what has been most helpful for you. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you next time.